our annual Village Awards and meeting. Help me in welcoming the Manhattan Monster Bar's Martin St. Lawrence on the piano. And thank you to the Mingus Quartet that will be introduced shortly. Thank you so much, and we'll begin soon.
I'm Martin St. Lawrence, and I play the piano at the New York Manhattan Monster Bar. I've been there 27 years. And I'm going to continue playing the most requested songs that we've had, really throughout this whole 2-decade period. Do any of you folks like to sing? You know the song? Why don't we all do it? From the top.
Good evening and welcome everyone to Village Preservation's 43rd annual meeting and the 33rd annual Village Awards. Firstly, thanks so much to the Mingus Quartet and of course to Martin St. Lawrence for that wonderful start to the evening. My name is Trevor Stewart, and it's my pleasure and honour to serve as president of this great organisation. I now call the meeting to order and call upon our secretary, I can't see where he is, Allan Sperling, to confirm that we have a quorum present in person or by proxy so that we may proceed with the official business of the meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'm pleased to confirm that we have a quorum.
Thank you, Allan. That's a relief. Before we get down to business, I really want to give a big word of thanks to those who've made this evening possible. First, Cooper Union, who are our hosts for the second year in a row. We're absolutely thrilled to be back in this historic hall. Isn't it marvelous? And special thanks to Christine Sarkisian and the leadership of Cooper Union, including Kim Newman and Natalie Brooks, without whom we couldn't have done this. For catering, once again, thanks to our trustee, Tom Burchard, for bringing together the group of local caterers who've generously donated the food and drinks for the reception. This includes Tom's son Jason and the full team at Veselka. Need I add the best and the most famous Ukrainian restaurant in New York? as well as two other neighborhood icons, Two Boots Pizza and Bonyagi's TIC restaurant group. The food was fabulous last year, thanks to Veselka and Bonyagi, and this year we have the addition of Two Boots. Thank you so much, everybody, for your generosity. It's amazing. The performers this evening, as I've indicated, Martin St. Lawrence, the longtime piano player at the Monster Bar, which is one of this year's Village Award winners, and the Yara Arts Group, which will have a special surprise for us later in the evening. Before we proceed with the program, though, we have a very special guest who I want to welcome. That's Eric Botcher, our council member. And we'll ask Eric to make a few comments.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Oscars of the Village, as we call it. It's such an honor to be here. My name is Eric Botcher. I represent the West Village, Chelsea, and Hell's Kitchen in the City Council. And I'm so happy to be here and congratulate all the honorees. I want to give a special shout out to the folks at La Mama. If you haven't seen the renovation they've done, it's so beautiful. I was so honored to be in the meetings while the construction was happening and at the ribbon cutting. And a super special shout out during Pride Month to the Monster, because the Monster, yes, the Monster is one of the first places I went when I came to New York, like so many people over the generations, LGBTQ people coming from a small town, ended up at the Monster. I may or may not have been 21 at that time, but just such a great piece of why New York is a beacon for people everywhere. It's been a year of highs and lows. We've been working very closely with Andrew on the team on the issue of illegal demolitions and historic fabric being demolished, and ensuring that there are consequences for breaking the rules and then strengthening the rules when needed. A high for me that I'm still on cloud nine about is the landmarking and securing the funding for former colored school number 4 on 17th Street, which was truly in danger of being lost to history. we didn't know it was there. And it was right under our noses for many years, and many people who lived right around there didn't know the history of this abandoned, city-owned building, and a historian named Eric Washington uncovered the history. It was one of the schools dedicated to educating black children in the 1800s, and one of the few surviving in all of New York City. And we were able to get a landmark designation and a commitment of $6 million from the city to shore up the building. So it'll be here for future generations to enjoy. So thank you to all of you for being here, and I greatly look forward to many more victories in the year ahead.
Eric, thank you so much. It's so important to us that you come to our meetings and have words for us. Thanks so much. You should all have received a copy of tonight's program. There's a business part and a fun part. First comes the business part of village preservation. All of you all the members at least, should have received a copy of the 2022 financial and membership report. If you've not received one, they're available at the front desk where you checked in. Or you can contact us for a digital copy. I'd be very happy to send you one. It's now my pleasure to introduce Justine Leguizamo, trustee and co-chair of the board's nominating committee, who will present the committee's 2023 report to the membership. Justine.
Village Preservation's Nominating Committee is entrusted with the task of identifying new members for our Board of Trustees and confirming the continued engagement of the current trustees. It is now with great pleasure that I present the slate of trustees recommended by the Nominating Committee to be voted on by Village Preservation's membership this evening. All Village Preservation members have received a voting paddle. Please hold it up to vote yea or nay when prompted. The trustees being proposed for a renewed 3-year term are as follows: Blaine Birchby, Richard Blodgett, Anita Isola, John Lamb, Leslie Mason, Ruth McCoy, Allan Sperling. All in favor, please hold up your voting paddle. Thank you. Opposed? Thank you. All returning trustees have been approved. Congratulations and thank you to our returning trustees. The nominating committee is also pleased to recommend Yukie Ohta for a 3-year term as new Village Preservation trustee. Yukie is the founder and director of the Soho Memory Project. This organization preserves and celebrates the history of Soho so that present and future generations understand the neighborhood's rich history. She is a trustee and archival consultant at the Little Red Schoolhouse and Elizabeth Irwin High School, as well as a trustee at the New York Preservation Archive Project. All in favor, please hold up your voting paddle. Opposed? Thank you. Our new trustee, Yukie Ohta, has been approved. Congratulations and welcome to Village Preservation. On behalf of the trustees and membership of Village Preservation, I would like to thank long-serving trustee Kyung Choi Bordis, who is not standing for re-election. Kyung has served Village Preservation as a trustee for 9 years. During that time, among other roles, she has served as co-chair of the Benefit Committee and as vice president of the organization. She's been a valuable member of the Village Preservation leadership team, and we sincerely thank her and appreciate her time and commitment to the organization. It is now my pleasure to introduce Village Preservation's Executive Director since 2002, Andrew Berman, who will present a review of the organization's activities over the last year.
Thank you. Thank you, Justine, and thank you again to our wonderful performers, the Mingus Big Band and Martin St. Lawrence. The wonderful way to start up the evening. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and welcome to, as Eric previously said, the Oscars of the Village, or what I also like to call my favorite night of the Village Preservation year. I want to offer my congratulations in advance to all of this year's wonderful awardees, and my gratitude and acknowledgement to all of the Village Preservation Trustees. And those of you who are here, if you wouldn't mind just raising your hand so we can all see you, and thank you for your service. I'd especially like to thank the members and co-chairs of our awards committee for their hard work to select this year's awardees from among hundreds of worthy nominees. Award committee members, if you wouldn't mind just raising your hands so we can thank you as well for your hard work. And last but not least, I want to thank and acknowledge our incredibly hardworking staff. And I'm going to ask them, who are mostly running around the building, but those who are in the room, to also raise their hand and wave so we can thank you and acknowledge you for the incredibly hard work you do to make everything that Village Preservation does possible. So it's now my honor to share with you a brief report on the work of Village Preservation over the last year. Our advocacy to protect the special historic character of Greenwich Village, the East Village, and NoHo remains the heart of our work. Some highlights of the past year include leading the effort to stop the lifting of the longtime cap on the maximum allowable size of residential development in New York City. This cap, as it's called, has allowed and continues to allow the world's tallest residential building and apartment buildings as large as 1,500 units or more to be constructed in our city. In spite of this, the governor, mayor, city council speaker, borough president, big real estate, and other powerful groups lobbied to remove this limit, which would have allowed the city to rezone residential neighborhoods like ours to as great a density as they like, with supersized development throughout. It would have also diverted attention and resources from other worthy efforts to actually address housing affordability issues in our city, which this plan purported to address. But I'm proud to say that for the fourth year in a row, we were able to get the state legislature to reject this wrong-headed proposal, and the zoning protections Village Preservation fought hard to secure throughout our neighborhoods remain strong and intact. Another important victory came in May when a judge threw out an NYU lawsuit which we had staunchly opposed. The university was seeking to invalidate a provision we'd fought hard to secure in the Soho-NoHo Chinatown rezoning, which prohibited the university from expanding in that area. In their court filings, NYU specifically highlighted Village Preservation's leading role in securing these protections for the area in order to argue against their legal validity, thinking it would serve their case. Well, I'm happy to report they were dead wrong. In May, a state Supreme Court judge threw their case out. Other victories this past year were equally satisfying. After a 10-year effort, we were able to get the building housing Julius's Bar at Waverly Place and 10th Street landmarked. Julius's was the site of a critical 1966 pre-Stonewall protest known as the Sip-In, which sought to undo the pervasive and discriminatory anti-LGBTQ laws and regulations of the time. This designation added one more to the list of over 1,250 buildings Village Preservation has been able to get landmarked in our neighborhoods over the past several decades. We were also able to help stop several ludicrously out-of-scale 32-foot-tall 5G towers from being installed throughout the West Village. And we pushed back hard on the entire process of siting the oversized structures, especially in the historic districts. And by the way, a shout out to Eric for his incredible help with that as well. Since that time, we've been granted what's called consulting party status for the historic preservation review for these proposed towers, a process that they originally thought they would just get to skip. This means we will have further opportunity to help impact where these intrusive eyesores go and what they look like. Bringing it down to bricks and mortar, we were also able to stop a plan to do potentially dangerous excavation under and make damaging alterations to one of our neighborhood's most historic and iconic landmarks, the 1834 Federal House at 131 Charles Street, and its back house, the home of photographer Diane Arbus at the height of her career. We got the Landmarks Preservation Commission to reject that plan and send it back to the drawing board where it belonged. Of course, not all the news was good this past year. While we saved 131 Charles Street from a similar fate, 14 Gay Street had to be demolished after a new owner's unpermitted work fatally undermined the structure, and 5 adjoining properties he owned on Christopher and Gay Street were left in a state of desperate disrepair. We're fighting hard to ensure that the owner and all responsible parties are held accountable, that 14 Gay Street is rebuilt exactly as it was, and that the 5 other landmark buildings are repaired and restored. A similar tragedy was only very narrowly averted at the landmarked 10 Fifth Avenue, when that 1848 former house suffered dangerous cracking and swaying as a result of pile driving 2 doors north at the construction site at 14 Fifth Avenue. There, the city had allowed, over our strenuous objections, a landmarked but altered pair of early 19th century houses to be demolished and a 220-foot-tall tower to be built in their place. That city-approved work for that structure nearly destroyed number 10 and led to dozens of tenants being evacuated from their homes, to which they still have not been allowed to return. We're fighting to ensure that they all get back to a repaired and restored building and that no work resumes at 14 Fifth Avenue until the cause of the damage is identified, responsible parties held accountable, and a work plan which guarantees the safety of nearby structures is formulated. We made sure that the city felt the heat for these and other unacceptable instances of historic buildings being destroyed on their watch, taking our cause to the streets and to the steps of City Hall. Responding to the criticism, the city released a vaguely worded vulnerable buildings plan in April that was long on lofty language but short on specifics and commitments. We're continuing to push the city to implement much-needed reforms that we and others have called for to address this growing problem of the destruction of our historic landmarks. Another unresolved campaign this year was Saving Theater 80, one of the East Village and New York's great fonts of culture, and its historic home at 7880 St. Mark's Place, a pair of 1845 houses that are among the East Village's oldest. While the city refused to intervene to prevent the buildings from being sold at auction, we've launched a campaign to get the buildings landmarked and to help ensure their preservation and to hopefully save the theater there as well. If you want to help, you can just scan this QR code to send letters to the mayor and landmarks chair demanding that they save this irreplaceable site, as hundreds and hundreds of New Yorkers already have. So please join that campaign if you haven't already. Theater 80 wasn't the only building we fought to landmark and save from destruction this year. We also launched campaigns to landmark the endangered home of Our Lady of Guadalupe Church at 229 West 14th Street, the first church established for a Spanish-speaking congregation in the New York Archdiocese. We also continued our campaign, along with doctors, staff, and patients, to landmark the endangered New York Eye and Ear Infirmary at 13th Street and 2nd Avenue, which has been the site of incredible innovations in service to people with disabilities for over 2 centuries. These, along with Theater 80 and Julius's, were part of an ever-increasing focus of Village Preservation's work, to tell the stories and preserve sites connected to our neighborhood's incredibly rich cultural, social, and civil rights history. Other sites we fought to recognize and preserve included 50 West 13th Street, the home of one of the 19th century's leading African-American voting rights crusaders and abolitionists, as well as the beloved 13th Street Repertory Theater. 10 West 14th Street, home of the New York City Women's Suffrage League, which battled for decades to extend the franchise. And 80 Fifth Avenue, headquarters in the 1970s and 80s of the first national gay rights organization in the United States, and in the 1930s and 40s to a radical mutual benefit organization which made huge strides in advancing the rights of workers, ending Jim Crow, and extending health care and access to birth control for all New Yorkers. Beyond these specific sites, our ongoing effort to secure a south of Union Square historic district, in which several of these buildings are located, reflects our ongoing focus of celebrating and preserving our neighborhood's rich civil rights, social justice, artistic, and literary history. And we did this through more than just landmarks advocacy. This year, we expanded and redesigned our civil rights and social justice map, now with over 200 sites connected to important places and moments in African American, women's, LGBTQ, Asian American, Jewish, labor, Hispanic, and other histories in our neighborhoods. We also added a new online map and tour focusing on women's history in the area south of Union Square. Of course, maps and online resources weren't the only ways we engaged and served the public this year. We added new oral histories with leading neighborhood artists, photographers, and progressive educators. We added new historic image archive collections showing our neighborhoods through the lens of the children of immigrants, as well as through the eyes of preservation advocates. We added new historic plaques honoring beat writers Allen Ginsberg and William S. Burroughs, as well as jazz pioneer Charles Mingus. We also conducted more than 75 programs ranging from celebrating Bob Dylan to neighborhood feminist hotbeds, while also partnering with a local brewery to launch the first ever Village Preservation beer. I think we'll all want one of those after the evening's over. We held forums with candidates for the upcoming June 27th City Council primary elections. And just a reminder, early voting in those elections begins on Saturday, and every vote will especially count this year in this low turnout, high stakes election. We also educated the public about how redistricting would affect their representation. And our children's education program, growing strong for more than 30 years, reached over 2,500 students in the last year in nearly 100 different classes in 200 schools across the city, using our neighborhoods as a living museum in which children can learn about American history, the built environment, the immigrant experience, and nearly 400 years of African American life in New York. By far, the majority of children participating in the program did so for free, based upon need, made possible in large part by the generosity of you, our members. Speaking of generosity and support, this year, for the first time since 2019, we were able to return to our annual spring benefit house tour. The perfect weather welcomed hundreds of our most generous friends and hundreds more volunteers to help make possible this beloved event, which raises a sizable chunk of the organization's annual revenue and allows us to provide our myriad free services, educational tools, and advocacy throughout the year. Thank you to everyone who supported this critical effort. And finally, we celebrated a small but important milestone this year, naming our 100th Business of the Month. Now in its 9th year, the program aims to promote and support the small independent shops and businesses that sustain Greenwich Village, the East Village, and NoHo. Here now is just a taste of those many amazing small businesses and what they do.
This is my business, Mercer Street Books.
You've been in the East Village for 23 years.
since 1978.
Since 1992.
For 43 years.
Since 1895.
Being in Greenwich Village has always been a dream. And being here and having my door open and allowing all this energy to come in and for me to be able to absorb it is just a dream come true.
To recommend books and put the books that we love into people's hands is every day kind of the most satisfying thing to us.
And I love the people that come to our shop. We have the sweetest, funnest, coolest customers.
I love people. This is one thing.
People. To take care of people.
The people.
The people and the faces.
So he was like looking at some pieces on the wall. He's like 20-something. And he has tears coming down his face. And I said, what happened? And he said, my grandmother passed away and I couldn't go home. But this reminds me of her. Sorry. I didn't think of it.
And they tell us, we met here and now we're married. We're together. So it's the sense of community.
Once I got my shop, I felt I became part of this community. I live in this neighborhood, but it was when I got my shop that I really became part of something bigger than just my little apartment.
It's not a business, it's a service, really. That's what we really do. We serve. That's what we do.
So it's been a year of victories, disappointments, and unfinished battles, as well as one in which we reached more people than ever in person and virtually with our programs, resources, and advocacy. I can honestly say that our work has never felt more in demand and more under fire from our opponents. But you, our members, keep us going and make all we accomplish, push back against, and work towards possible. Thank you as always for your support and for sharing your love of preserving our neighborhoods with us. And thank you to all of you who brought friends with you tonight to share that love. Feel free to do so at future events as well and to put them in touch with us so we can connect on our mutual love and respect for our neighborhoods and their histories. Thank you very much.
So before we adjourn the official part of the meeting, I just want to thank, on behalf of the trustees, and I believe all our membership, Andrew, for the amazing job that he does. As well as our incredible staff. Those of you who are still around and not in the back working, please raise your hands again. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And that brings us to the end of the business part of the evening. Our 43rd annual meeting is adjourned. Andrew.
So now for the awards. And now it is also my distinct pleasure to introduce our MC for this year's awards, our dear friend, Penny Arcade. Penny, aka Susanna Ventura, is an internationally known and respected writer, poet, and theater maker. Since 1999, along with her collaborator of 31 years, Steve Zentner, she has co-helmed the Lower East Side Biography Project that streams and broadcasts on cable internet Monday nights at 11 p.m. If you haven't caught it, it is a must-watch. Please join me in welcoming Penny Arcade.
Hi. I do a lot of exciting things all year long, but nothing is more important or more critical is my participation in this program. I think that those of us who understand, and many do not, the critical importance of the Greenwich Village Society for Historical Preservation. The work that the Preservation Society is doing, and particularly helmed by Andrew Berman, who these people who care nothing about our way of life, nothing about our quality of life, nothing about our neighborhoods, its history, why we are here, fear him. They fear Andrew Berman. Because why? Because Andrew Berman is unrelenting. He doesn't give up. And with the support of the membership, he has really, and I mean, obviously it's because he's so smart, that he actually meets them. He meets them where it hurts them and where they need to be hurt, because they do not care about us, the citizens of New York. And so it's my greatest honor to be here, and I love this organization, and I would really try to enroll each and every one of you to have memorized at least 3 of the things that the organization did this year to preserve our way of life, and tell 3 of your friends and get people to join the membership. I mean, what we're dealing here with is we have our own David in Andrew Berman against this monstrous Goliath. And the only way to be part of it is to be in it. The people united can never be divided. And we need to really get on board here. Thanks. So, we're starting off our awards with the Dashwood Books. American photographer Dorothea Lange once said, "The camera is an instrument that teaches people how to see without a camera." Now, if your camera is an iPhone primarily used for selfies, the learning period might be very long indeed. Those looking for a crash course should descend the steps of 33 Bond Street that lead to Dashwood Books, a bookstore that pushes the boundaries of bookstore-ness. It invites visitors to treat its primary ware, the photography book, not just as a consumer product, but as an art object, a conversation piece, and a source, most importantly, of inspiration. And you will find over 10,000 of them, old and new, international and local, hard to find and impossible to find, all lovingly curated and procured from far and wide by owner David Strettle, and some published by Dashwood Books itself. As a result, since 2005, the store has been an invaluable resource for the fashion, theater, advertising, and film industries, as well as a popular draw for artists, collectors, art directors, and all manner of photography enthusiasts. The only store in the city, and one of the few in the world, specializing in photographic publications, Dashwood Books fulfills a variety of functions for the various communities it serves. As a purveyor of books, it offers space for discovering and acquiring accessible treasures, and in doing so, democratizes the possibility of collecting art objects. As a gallery, it enables an aesthetic encounter with photography and an education in the medium, much of it courtesy of the store's erudite staff. As a publisher, it provides increasingly a rare platform for emerging artists. And as a gathering place, it's a hub for the local creative community and an event venue for the promotion of recent work. In a very challenging retail climate, Dashwood Books has survived and thrived by being very, very, very good at what it does, and by facilitating an experience impossible to replicate for the click of a mouse, or with the click of a mouse under a monitor's cold blue light. The experience of handling limited edition art books lavishly printed on lush, uncoated Japanese paper and presented in a green cloth slipcase, for instance. In doing so, Dashwood Books has developed a global reputation as an indispensable destination for anyone who cares about photography. For its 18 years as an indispensable center for the photographic arts and for ensuring NoHo's continuing role as a fount of culture and creativity, we are thrilled to award Dashwood Books with a 2023 Village Award.
Thank you very much, Village Preservation. I really appreciate the award. I'd like to say thank you to Miwa Sasuda, who has worked with me for 17 of the 18 years I've been in business in NoHo, and also to my wife, Ann Christensen, who loaned me the money to open the business, so that was good. Thank you so much. It's really nice to be recognized in the community. Thank you.
A phoenix is a bird in Greek mythology that periodically engulfed in flames and reduced to ashes, only to rise again from those ashes to full splendor. That may well be the appropriate emblem for our next awardee, the Essex Card Shop. The neighborhood stationery store on Avenue A and 4th Street was destroyed by fire in January of 2022, and then, riding a wave of consumer support, reopened as great as it ever was in September of that year. However, its ability to return from the dead is only one of the remarkable things about this small but beloved local shop. Calling the Essex Card Shop a stationery shop is a bit like calling the Met an art gallery. You can find at the Essex Card Shop just about anything and everything. Your favorite notebooks and pens, sure, but if you need a board game and party hats for a crazy Friday night or a carpet cleaner afterwards, you can find them at the Essex Card Shop. Christmas ornaments and winter gloves, or a beach ball and sunblock, Essex Card Shop. COVID masks or Halloween masks, you know it. And don't stop at essential products. Essex Card Shop even offers a range of convenient services. Whether you need passport pictures for your upcoming trip to the exotic beyond, or an affidavit notarized after your vacation goes south, Essex Card Shop has got you covered. And it somehow manages to do all of this from an 1,100 square foot store. It's like some kind of a magic trick. The magicians behind this trick are equally impressive. The store has been a fixture on the avenue since the 1920s. Marvin and Rhoda Meyer took it over in 1974 when not many were doing business in the block, and ran it through the turn of the century. It was acquired in 2000 by Jay Patel, a recent Indian immigrant who operated the place with his family and with the help of his manager turned partner, Mohammed Aslam, a Pakistani immigrant. Mohammed took over when Jay decided to step away from the store, and when Jay reconsidered, hired him back as his manager. These days, Essex Card remains a family-run affair operated by Mohammed's daughter, Noreen, and by his brother. When the fire gutted the Essex Card Shop, destroying all of its inventory and physical space, the neighborhood lost not just an essential all-purpose store, but also a cherished member of the community. Noreen kept the business afloat by reaching out to customers and making deliveries. Neighborhoods reciprocated her efforts with a delivery of their own, a fundraising campaign that yielded over $90,000 and that allowed the store to reopen to great fanfare within 8 months. The people united can never be divided. For the extraordinary perseverance, ingenuity, and dedication shown in providing its neighbors with just about everything they could possibly need, Village Preservation is proud to award the Essex Card Shop with our 2023 Village Award.
Good evening, fellow community members. My name is Saba Aslam. You might know me as the girl who opened the GoFundMe page. I'm the daughter of Mohammed Aslam, the Essex Card Shop owner. My sister Noreen couldn't make it today, so I'm here on her behalf. She's the one that works at Essex Card Shop that many of you may know. So this family business has been with my dad for 23 years. We're immigrants from Pakistan, and my dad came to this country with the same dream that many immigrants come, to follow the American dream. With the fire that burned down Essex Card Shop in January 2022, the community lost its favorite and much needed mom and pop shop, which also was open during the COVID pandemic. The fire didn't just burn down the walls of a stationery store, its flames burned the hope of it ever continuing forward in the neighborhood. However, due to the outpouring love and support from the community members, we were able to rebuild it again and open it back up in September 2022, just a couple of months after the fire. We just want to thank our beautiful and loving community who reignited a flame of hope in my dad's heart that we can persevere. That together, we can rebuild the store and have it standing in our community for years to come. From my family, I just want to say thank you so much for being there for us, for giving us hope when all hope was lost, for grieving with us when my dad saw his dreams burn before his eyes, and for celebrating the reopening of Essex Card Shop.
We appreciate you all so much and thank you for this award. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody.
Oh, it's so wonderful, isn't it? It's so uplifting. Excuse me. Monsters often get a deservedly bad reputation. Dracula, Godzilla, werewolf, but some are more benign, even beneficent. The Monster Bar, located at 80 Grove Street and named after a mythological griffin sea serpent, has offered a welcoming space for the LGBT community to come together in conviviality since 1982, and may I also add, welcomes all friends and allies. And its roots outside the Big Apple extend back a decade further. Located by the historic Sheridan Square, in a building with a notable history of its own, the Monster was launched by native Greenwich villager Joe Sciallo and his partner Charlie Rice in the hopes of catering to what they saw as an underdeserved population. The LBGT, every man or woman who's not chasing after trends or excess, but just wants to hang out in a fun place and have a good time. For over 40 years, the Monster has done that and more, offering something to patrons of all tastes and ages. From its Sunday afternoon tea dances, the longest running in the city, to its famous sing-along piano bar, starred Martin St. Lawrence for 31 years. Beyond these beloved staples, the bar features drag shows, bingo nights, cabaret performances, live concerts, and a lineup of DJs sure to keep the party going, and you along with it, regardless of what gets your feet moving. And may I add, it's just such a welcome place to just stop by in the afternoon. I do it all the time. Add to the Monster's appeal is its warm and chatty staff, and it's little wonder that the place has remained a popular destination for regulars, tourists, and special events for decades. As much as loyal patrons have supported the Monster over the years, so has the Monster looked after its patrons. During the AIDS epidemic, Joe made regular contributions to aid charities and allowed afflicted staff to keep working as long as they were able to. During the more recent pandemic, the bar found a way to keep serving its customers safely out of doors while being respectful to its residential neighborhoods. More than anything, the Monster Bar, in spite of its intimidating sounding name, is known as a place where all are made to feel welcome and comfortable. At a time when so much effort is being expended to make so many people feel unwelcome, the Monster Bar's long-standing ethos is all the more vital and extraordinary. With so much drawing us apart and isolation being a serious public health concern, we feel fortunate to have in our neighborhood a place like the Monster. For its commitment to welcoming, entertaining, supporting, and bringing all of us together, and for serving the LGBT plus community, which means plus means everybody, for more than 4 decades, we are thrilled to present the Monster with a 2023 Village Award.
Well, practically everything has been said, and we're so honored to get this award. We want more and more and more of you to just come and say hello and have a drink and enjoy our facility. Thank you so much. One other thing, Dan has been our manager and helped us through, coming back from that horrible period of COVID. And it's so great to be alive and be here, and thank you, and hope to see you all soon.
There are approximately 1.3 million people in Dallas, Texas. That's also roughly how many people were experiencing food insecurity in New York City before the pandemic. This number increased by 1/3 during the pandemic to a figure more in line with the populations of Houston or Philadelphia, the 4th and 5th largest cities in this country. During this period, 40% of the city's soup kitchens and food pantries shut down, buckling under the strain of the spiking demand. Fortunately, one that didn't was the Red Door Place at the Church of the Village on 13th Street and 7th Avenue. Cobbling together short-term grants, it assembled a small handful of paid staff members and volunteers and remained in operation as it has for 20 years. During the pandemic peak, as many as 1,000 people would come for assistance, forming a line that would snake around the block. Not one person was turned away. Teresa Concepcion took over the operations at the Red Door Place in 2016. Since then, she has operated a food pantry that distributes bags of groceries containing fresh and pre-cooked ingredients, and a community meal service that offers hot meals to whoever stops by. The thousands who do include many from the soaring population of people experiencing homelessness, but also from the growing ranks of the suddenly unemployed and of the working poor. No one is asked any questions. No one is turned away. They come to the Red Door Place from all over the city. During the pandemic, some came from as far away as Pennsylvania on a monthly basis. They were also welcomed, and like everyone else, made to feel welcome. People commonly feel embarrassed to have to resort to a food pantry, but not here. Here, the staff remembers people's names. Visitors get to meet the family of the staff when they volunteer. During times of crisis, when regulars go missing, staff members venture into the neighborhood to check up on them. Among Teresa's plans for the Red Door Place is the development of an in-house hydroponic farming facility that will provide a steady source of inexpensive, healthful food, as well as a surplus that might help support the soup's kitchen's operations. Her greater aspiration, however, is for the Red Door Place to cease operations altogether, rendered obsolete by our collective decision to eradicate food insecurity in this country. For selflessly and generously providing thousands in need with food, care, welcome, and respect without question, Village Preservation is proud to award the Red Door Place with our 2023 Village Award.
So Teresa was actually called away at the last minute on an emergency at the Red Door Place, which of course she herself had to take care of. So she couldn't be here tonight to receive the award in person, but we're going to deliver it to her personally. And of course she sends her regards and thank you. And most importantly, we thank her for what she's doing even at this very moment and what she does 7 days a week with the Red Door Place.
The whole notion of a distinctive Ukrainian culture is a revolutionary one and one currently being brutally contested. Our next awardee on a daily basis breathes life and light into the notion that the Ukrainian people do in fact have a distinct identity and voice to be perpetuated and preserved. At the same time, they give voice to a broad array of peoples and perspectives from across the globe. Verlana is the director of the Yara Arts Group, an experimental theater company that she co-founded in 1990, along with African-American poet Wanda Phipps and Japanese designer Wataku. I was going to say one word at a time. Wataku Weho. It has since been a resident company at La Mama Experimental Theater, an acclaimed springboard for original work and a vehicle of international collaborations. It has staged dozens of productions, working with luminaries such as Peter Brooks, Ping Chong, Amira Baraka, and Tadeusz Kantor, my personal favorite. It has presented its work both at local venues like Theater for the New City, Howell Arts, and throughout the world. Verlana treats Yara Arts Group productions less as plays than as investigations. This has led her to pursue research and collaborations throughout Asia and Eastern Europe, occasionally during tumultuous political periods. Yara was in Ukraine when the Soviet Union collapsed and in Kyrgyzstan during the onset of its revolution. It's enough to make one wonder whether the company is drawn to revolutionary tremors or whether the dramatic ferment of Yara's work actually triggers political upheaval. Yara's projects are as far-ranging in form and content as the company's globe-trotting ways, drawing from sources as diverse as contemporary poetry, historical plays, and traditional Eastern chants and legends. Yara has staged exhibits, workshops, concerts, lectures, puppet shows, readings, and performances that invite cultural exchange across time and space. Although Verlana is a committed localist, quick to say that she does not live in New York, but in the East Village, she sees between her neighborhood and villages elsewhere commonalities that bridge the distance between them. Through cross-cultural collaborations, translation projects, and historical performances, Yara Arts Group has cultivated a space where Mongolian audiences, Ukrainian ones, and others all sit side by side. Verlana has said that what she loves about theater is that you're always learning new worlds. What we love about Verlana is that she's constantly creating a better one. For 33 years of giving voice and light to often overlooked cultures from Ukraine to the Far East and beyond, we are thrilled to award Verlana Koch and Yara Arts Group with a 2023 Village Award.
Well, I'm Verlana Koch. And I'm Wanda Phipps, and we're Yara Arts Group. And instead of saying anything, we thought we'd sing you a song from our last show. Last you?
Thank you. Stand
Each year, Village Preservation presents one special village awardee with the Regina Kellerman Award, named in honor of Village Preservation's first executive director. Regina was a passionate advocate for historic preservation, and this year's awardee fully exemplifies the vision that she had for preserving the architectural and cultural heritage of our neighborhoods. La Mama Experimental Theater Club previously won a Village Award in 2014 for its work as an organization. And today, Village Preservation is proud to present La Mama with our 2023 Regina Kellerman Village Award for the stunning restoration they've undertaken at 74A East 4th Street, the theater's first and current permanent home. Designed by a German-born architect, August H. Blankenstein, and constructed in 1873, this 4-story red brick-clad building was originally known as an Aschenbrodel werden. Just trust me, I said it right. For the Professional Orchestral Musicians Association of the same name. After 1892, the building was subsequently owned. Okay. I'm going to read this phonetically. Gesangverein in, oh boy. Okay. Gesangverein in Schindlerbund. Yeah, so basically it's Gesangverein, and then it's Schillerbund. Okay. I seriously think you should Google this later. I'm going to. One of the city's leading German singing societies, and the main facade was altered to feature 3 composers' busts over the second-story windows, as well as the notable cornice with its broken pediment as a crowning element of the building. Folk motifs, such as inverted hearts, are also found throughout the facade, melding German Renaissance revival and neo-Grec style ornamentation. The building was designated as an individual New York City landmark in 2009. Founded by Ellen Stewart, also my mother, or as she used to say, Benny Arcade is my littlest baby. To which my Italian mother said, Ma chi è questa negra che dice che è la mamma? Which means, so who's this black woman who's claiming to be your mother? And I have it on video, by the way. Okay. So, founded by Ellen in 1961 out of the basement of an East 9th Street tenement, La Mama was nomadic for the first few years until Ellen purchased the building on East 4th Street in 1967, rescuing it from possible demolition. It was in rough shape, no roof, no flooring, and no back wall. I remember this. Through the vision and care of Stewart, an extremely passionate and charismatic woman who is also the theater's original artistic director and producer, La Mama grew to be a pioneer and powerhouse of the off-Broadway movement in the East Village, and also, may I add, around the world as far away as Australia. The theater has recently reopened following a $24 million renovation by $24 million renovation by architecture firm Bayer Blinder Bell. The interior was renovated to accommodate updated technology and state-of-the-art theater amenities, as well as ADA accessibility, and the original facade was thoughtfully and painstakingly restored and celebrated. The cast iron pilasters were restored, as well as all of the decorative elements, a number of which had eroded or had been lost over time. These were painted a historically accurate light cream color, which contrasts beautifully with the original brickwork. A new glass and aluminum storefront was installed to replace the later brick infill that had been present for some decades. Now the ground floor harmonizes better with the historic facade above, while the lobby interior is revealed to passerbys, beckoning them into the theater. La Mama's philosophy is all about access to the arts, and now the building boldly embodies this ethos. The theatrical company centers its work around the belief that space is vital to the creative process, and art can be a powerful vehicle for communities to come together. A building-wide data network also gives artists the tools to support new forms of inclusive art making and exchange beyond the four walls of the space. They can now draw national and international audiences with live stream and hybrid events and expand cross-cultural engagement across great distances with the historic building still as a core. Ellen once relayed that she was often asked, "How does La Mama keep going?" And she replied, I'm not going to do her voice this time. I know, because she'd hate that, okay. I could do it the other time, that was okay, but this time, no. I know at this moment, in every corner of the earth, there are people whose energies and heartbeats, some part of which is directed towards La Mama. With that kind of holding us up, honey, we don't sink. Thanks to her pioneering spirit and to that of her successors, the restored theater will be kept afloat for many, many years to come. For undertaking a painstaking and spectacular renovation of their landmarked 150-year-old home at 74A East 4th Street, Village Preservation presents La Mama Experimental Theater Club with its 2023 Regina Kellerman Award for Excellence in Historic Preservation.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for this extraordinary honor. The renovations of this historically landmarked building was incredibly meaningful to us. As Penny said, this was La Mama's first permanent home. And when our founder, Ellen Stewart, saw those upside-down hearts that you saw on the building, she felt that the building said, "Own me." From that moment on, it was and continues to be a home for marginalized artists and for our neighborhood of the East Village. With these renovations, we have been able to ensure that the building continues to serve this rich artistic community into the future. We are so proud to be a part of this legacy and so proud of the legacy of this neighborhood.
Thank you. And I just want to say, you know, when we started this work, too long ago, the engineers, you know, they looked at the walls and they said, they're totally unstable. There's nothing holding these walls up. There's nothing holding them together. He said to us, they're standing by memory alone. So you see how important, how powerful memory can be. And we want to thank the Village Preservation for all that they do for this community and for this we're honored to receive this award. Thank you so much.
That is the end of our awards program. Thank you so much to our incredible awardees, to our extraordinary MC, Penny Arcade, for doing a wonderful job. And one last thank you before you filter out. I want to say thank you to all of our members. And if everybody here who's a member wouldn't mind just raising their hands so we can thank and acknowledge you for making everything that we do here possible. So Please enjoy the rest of the evening. We have wonderful refreshments both outside in the back that way and that way. And I'm just going to ask all of our trustees to come to the stage. We're going to gather briefly for a quick meeting, and we will see everybody out there afterwards. Thank you, everyone.